I find this to be the most difficult social setting to maintain healthy eating during, because you really are at the mercy of what's put in front of you, and you have to make a decision in real time. Here's how we navigate it.
Do you struggle to stay consistent with healthy eating and just want food decisions to be easy, guilt-free, and sustainable? You're in the right place. Hi, I'm Chelsea, nutritionist and fitness coach who overcame restrictive yo-yo dieting and body image insecurities using simple nutrition tools, all backed by biblical principles. And now I help women like you find that same freedom with food so you can feel confident in the look and health of your body for decades to come. I'm ready to dive in with you. So grab that cute notebook you've been hanging on to and let's go.
I remember laying in bed, mentally taking inventory of every item I ate at a work party, beating myself up because I had cheated on my diet again and felt bloated and downright disgusting afterwards. This wasn't the first time either. I just don't have the willpower to stay strong at stuff like this, I said in a moment of prayer, begging the Lord to make me stronger. It was almost as if he told me, it's not your lack of strength. I made you plenty strong. You're just focusing on the wrong path. It was like a light bulb flipped on, and I immediately got curious about what God has to say about healthy eating. Now, 7 years later, I have complete control over my food choices, even the cravings and temptations. I never feel guilty about what I eat. I have energy all day. And a lean, toned body I can actually feel confident in. As a part of my testimony, I want to give you all the same tools so you can experience the same freedom with food. That's why I created The Sustainable Way, my one-on-one nutrition coaching program. This is where I've put into one place everything that has changed my life nutritionally and has since changed the lives of literally hundreds of others I have had the privilege of coaching. Simply head to coachrain.com/nutrition coaching to learn more about what's inside, ask me questions directly, and even get started today. That's coachreign.com/nutrition coaching. And now, welcome to the show. The exact formula for being social and eating healthy. Is it even possible? I know girls' night out or catch-up lunch dates and even happy hour with your work friends is usually characterized by chips and salsa, pizza, charcuterie boards, which are just fancy deconstructed pizzas. But listen to me, my friend. You do not need to sacrifice your health goals and feeling good just to maintain your social life. Nor do you need to give up your social life in order to maintain your health goals. That was a mistake I made in my health journey. I got so caught up in tracking all my food and never wanting to break from my diet that I would opt out of social events with friends and then very miserably watch their Snapchat stories from home while eating my perfectly calculated prepped meals. That is not freedom with food, and certainly no way to enjoy life. I've also seen the other side of the spectrum and coached plenty of people how to eat healthfully even while hanging out with friends. So in today's episode, I'm going to walk you through 3 progressions of socializing with food involved and how to steward your body through them all. You ready? Let's dive in. The first, easiest way to eat healthy while socializing is to either be the one who picks the restaurant or to at least have a heavy influence on the menu of whatever is made available. Take initiative. Be the one to say, oh my gosh, yes, I can't wait to see you. I've been itching to get some, insert name of restaurant where you know you can pick healthful options or at least customize the menu. How does that sound? I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, they'll say, that's great, what time? And now you have inserted your will. If, for some reason, they come back with something like, Actually, last time I was there, I got food poisoning or something wild like that. Have a plan B. Respond with, whoa, really? Dang, I'm sorry to hear that. I love that place. Well, how about insert second option? You see, this strategy gives you peace of mind going into the event. Zero stress about staying consistent with your nutrition. In fact, I've even suggested to a friend that we pack a picnic and meet in a park for dinner. I brought the protein and veg. She brought sides and desserts. It worked out perfectly and was even more healthful than restaurant food. Not to mention, infinitely less expensive. So all of this is the first line of defense when it comes to eating healthy while staying social. Influence where you go or what's on the menu as best as you can. However, not every social situation allows for that. I totally understand. Sometimes the restaurant is predetermined, perhaps because it's being paid for by someone else or the gathering is large enough that reservations need to be made ahead of time. If this is the case, do your best to inquire about the where ahead of time and do what I call menu scoping. The last thing you want to do is show up hungry with zero plan. Then everyone's talking, it's loud, they're being social, while you're trying to figure out how to craft a diamond meal, and then the waitstaff comes and they're ready to take your order, and panic under pressure, I'll have the loaded mac and cheese. Not speaking from experience or anything. It's those moments of having to decide under pressure in an unfamiliar environment that we end up making impulsive, less than nutritious food choices, which then leaves us feeling regretful, bloated, and maybe even beating ourselves up for caving into temptation. So check out the menu ahead of time and have your game plan. Find components that create a diamond meal. And if that term is unfamiliar to you, go back and listen to episode number 16 called Overwhelmed by What to Eat? Steal My Meal Planning Hack, where I explain the diamond meal in more detail. But then walk into the social gathering with confidence. The next tier of difficulty when it comes to eating healthfully while being social is when you are in a situation that neither allows you to have influence over where to go or what's on the menu, nor are you able to look up a menu. We're thinking things like weddings. Actually, let me give you an example of this from my own life. My husband has a very close friend group of about 12 guys he has grown up with since grade school. It is not uncommon for this group to get together to celebrate birthdays and whatnot with all of their spouses at a restaurant. In this scenario, I am invited as a guest to a party of at least 25 people. And if you've ever worked in fine dining, you know that a party like this typically requires a prix-fixe menu. So not only do I not have a say in where we go, but even if I know what the restaurant is and I look up their menu, it's a mystery of what will actually be served because it's only going to be a select few items. And here's the kicker. In this situation, food is typically served family style and it comes in waves. I find this to be the most difficult social setting to maintain healthy eating during because you really are at the mercy of what's put in front of you and you have to make a decision in real time. Here's how we navigate it. Above all, stick to your non-negotiables and conditions. Whatever personal boundaries you have in place, be mindful of them before the event and during the event. For example, one of my non-negotiables is no to fried food, with the very rare exception of the occasional French fry, which must meet other certain standards in my eyes to be worth it. I just don't eat fried food. So if that is an option presented, it's an easy no for me. Pass that plate along to the next person. The next thing I do is prioritize vegetables and protein. But as options are presented, I give myself margin to taste test everything that looks appealing and doesn't violate one of my boundaries. And when I say taste test, I really mean like a sampler platter. I can always get more if I particularly enjoy an item, but if I'm taking a little spoonful of each thing that looks appealing to me, I don't end up feeling like I've missed out on anything, which is sometimes the biggest culprit of overeating at these social events. And then lastly, I constantly monitor my fullness cues. If the goal is to stay healthful while socializing, I definitely do not want to leave feeling stuffed. So after every dish, I try to do an internal check and make sure that I stay at or below a 7 out of 10 on the fullness scale. If I get to that 7 mark, but I still have food I want to enjoy, simply ask for a to-go box. There is zero shame in that. In fact, sometimes I do that along the way. For example, if there is a salad that I am loving, but I hear that steak is on the way, in my mind, that salad makes much better leftovers than the fresh sizzling steak will. So I'll ask for a box, put my salad in said box, and then save some stomach real estate to enjoy the steak at its best. Now, I know a lot of these seem like great ideas now, but when it comes to actually implementing them, it can be a little bit more difficult. So I want to reinforce the idea that eating healthfully while being social is not only a good idea so you can stay consistent, but it's also quite biblical. Some things to keep in mind from the biblical perspective. Number 1, we want to avoid idolatry, which means keeping the social aspect of the event the main focus, not the food. Let the food be a fun accessory to the party. Number 2, we also want to avoid gluttony, which is why we continually listen to our fullness cues despite what else is being served. Take measures to protect your temple. It is not rude to say, no thank you. It is rude to eat beyond what your body needs and cause harm to God's beautiful creation that you are. And finally, a point that I really haven't covered much is being mindful of the company you are with. In the book of Romans, chapter 14, starting in verse 20, Paul writes, "Don't tear apart the work of God over what you eat. Remember, all foods are acceptable, but it is wrong to eat something if it makes another person stumble. It is better not to eat meat or drink wine or do anything else if it might cause another believer to be offended. You may believe there's nothing wrong with what you are doing, but keep it between yourself and God. Blessed are those who don't feel guilty for doing something they have decided is right. But if you have doubts about whether or not you should eat something, you are sinning if you go ahead and do it. For you are not following your convictions. If you do anything you believe is not right, you are sinning." Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, but to put a very basic interpretation over it, read the room. Consider the values of those you are with. If the folks you are with feel strongly about staying away from alcohol, for example, don't order an adult beverage, even though you may not have an issue with it. However, on the flip side, if they try to force you to drink and you feel strongly about abstaining from alcohol, you are not obligated to drink. Stick to your values. It says in Romans it is sinful not to. Crazy, right? If you could use some guidance on establishing your own set of conditions and non-negotiables, aka your boundaries, how to plan a diamond meal from a restaurant's menu, or even understanding your fullness cues and learning where that sweet spot is for you, come join me in The Sustainable Way, my one-on-one nutrition coaching program, where I give you all the tools you need to make healthful eating your everyday norm, not just a thing you try to stick to until motivation dies. Head to coachrain.com/nutrition coaching to learn more about the details of The Sustainable Way, to ask me questions, and get started as soon as today. So let's go through the 3 tiers of eating healthy, even while having a social life, one more time to review. The simplest thing you can do, if possible, is to be the one who determines where you go to eat or what is on the menu at the gathering. Control the controllables, but do it kindly and with tact, of course. If that's not an option, then do your research before the event. Inquire about the restaurant, do some menu scoping, and have a plan ready for once you get there. No panic ordering. And if that isn't an option, then be mindful of your own body. That means maintain your boundaries, prioritize vegetables and protein, triage what's worth it and what isn't, and stop before getting overly full. Get that to-go box if necessary. These are all tools I use in my own life, as well as just some of the many that I teach my clients in the sustainable way. Join me there for even more strategies so you don't have to choose between being healthy and having fun.
I pray this episode was helpful to you, my friend. If so, could you do me a massive favor and take 30 seconds to write a review? This is the best way to bless me big and help more people learn just how simple eating healthy consistently can be. And if you want more value-packed info from me, head to coachrain.com and sign up for the Weekly Harvest, my weekly emails filled with recipes, how to use food as medicine, biblical nutrition, and more. That's coachreign.com for the Weekly Harvest. Blessings until next time, sis. Toodles.